1 week after the humans left Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council tried to contact them. The message was sent to every human ship they could find, broadcast on every frequency they knew. The message was simple. The Council requests immediate dialogue with human representatives. No answer came. 2 weeks later, they tried again. This time, the message was more urgent. The Council is prepared to discuss modified terms for human membership. Still no answer. By the 3rd week, panic was spreading through the Council territories. Reports flooded in that made the alien leaders more nervous each day. Human colonies were appearing faster than anyone thought possible. The 7 original settlements had grown into 23, then 41, then 68. Each colony was fully operational within days of being established, complete with defense systems, manufacturing facilities, and spaceports. How are they doing this? Vextai demanded during an emergency council session. His scales were gray, with stress, and his usual confident posture was gone. Our scientists believe they are using automated construction systems, Zelnara replied. Her energy form was dim and flickering weakly. Ships arrive carrying machines that build everything they need without organic labor. That level of automation should take centuries to develop, Theron protested, but his metal voice sounded defeated. Should, Morden's voices said together. But humans do many things they should not be able to do. The worst news came from the HFY border worlds. 3 council member species had formally requested permission to open diplomatic relations with humanity. When the council refused, 2 of those species had declared independence and sent ambassadors to human space anyway. This is rebellion! Corks's branches shook with fury. We cannot allow member species to just leave. How do we stop them? Quilara asked from her water bubble. Send fleets to attack our own people? The question hung in the air without an answer. More troubling reports arrived daily. Human trade ships were visiting systems throughout the galaxy, offering deals that made council trade look terrible by comparison. Where the council demanded huge taxes and strict controls, humans offered simple exchanges. Technology for raw materials, protection for friendship, knowledge for knowledge. Species that had been waiting hundreds of years for better treatment from the council suddenly found themselves offered exactly what they wanted by these newcomers. The Qatari Union has signed a mutual defense pact with humanity, a messenger reported during the 4th week. The Qatari have been council members for 2,000 years, Vextai roared. Not anymore, the messenger replied quietly. What about the Zindari Collective? Zelnara asked. Also signed with humans, along with the Borlak Federation and the hegemony of Trill. Each name hit the council like a physical blow. These were not small, weak species. These were established powers with fleets, resources, and influence. What are the humans offering them? Morden demanded. Everything we refuse to give, the messenger answered. Equal partnership, fair trade, shared technology, and most importantly, respect. The 5th week brought the news that broke the council's spirit completely. The humans had not just been building colonies and making alliances. They had been building something much bigger. It is called the Terran Federation, the intelligence chief reported to the emergency session. Humanity has created a new galactic government. Government? Zelnara's voice was barely audible. Yes. Any species can join, as an equal member. There are no tribute payments, no waiting periods, no subservience requirements. Every member gets a vote in Federation decisions. How many members? Vextai asked, though he clearly did not want to hear the answer. 37 species and growing. They are calling it the largest voluntary alliance in galactic history. The chamber fell silent. In 5 weeks, humanity had gone from a single species asking for partnership to the leaders of a federation that rivaled the Council's power. We need to offer them something, Cork said desperately. We need to bring them back to negotiations. With what? Theron asked. What can we offer that they do not already have? The question echoed through the crystal walls without answer. On the human ship Determination, Taeho Kim stood in his quarters looking out at the stars. Through the viewport, he could see a dozen other ships moving in formation. Some were human vessels, but others belonged to their new Federation allies. A soft chime announced Yu Jin Park's arrival. "The morning reports," she said, handing him a datapad. 12 more species have requested Federation membership. The Council has lost 6 more members this week. Taeho took the pad but did not look at it immediately. "Any word from the Council?" "Daily messages begging for talks. The latest one offers us equal representation and reduced tribute requirements." "Reduced, not eliminated." "Correct. They still do not understand." Taeho finally looked at the reports. The Federation now controlled nearly a quarter of known space, with new members joining every few days. Human colonies provided manufacturing and research centers, while allied species contributed resources, ships, and knowledge. The Galactic Council ruled for millions of years by keeping species separated and weak, he said quietly. They made sure no one could challenge them by preventing cooperation between potential rivals. "And now?" Eugen asked. "Now they face something they never planned for. Unity built on choice instead of fear. Cooperation based on mutual benefit instead of submission." A communication alert sounded. Eugen checked her device and smiled. "The Altarian Republic just voted to leave the Council and join the Federation. That brings us to 41 members." Taeho nodded. Through the viewport, more ships were arriving. Some came seeking trade, others came offering alliance, and a few came simply because they had heard about a place where all species were treated as equals. "Should we respond to the Council's latest message?" Eugen asked. Taeho considered this for a moment. "Send them a simple reply. Tell them the Federation welcomes all species who wish to join as equals. No exceptions, no special terms, no tribute required. And if they refuse, then they refuse. The galaxy is large enough for different approaches to civilization." Eugen smiled as she prepared to send the message. "I think you already know what their answer will be." "Yes," Taeho agreed. "Pride is a powerful thing. It built their empire, and now it will prevent them from adapting to change." On Nexus Prime, the Council received humanity's final message. The terms were simple and clear: join the Federation as equals or continue on their separate path. No special treatment, no recognition of their ancient authority, no acknowledgement of their superior status. "It is insulting," Vextai snarled, but his voice lacked its old fire. "It is reality," Zelnara said sadly. "We are no longer the only power in the galaxy." "We could fight them," Morden suggested without much conviction. "With what?" Quarks asked. "Half our members have left, our fleets are scattered, and we still do not know the full extent of human capabilities." Zelnara looked around the chamber at the empty seats where council members had once sat. Species that had served for millennia were gone, drawn away by the promise of partnership instead of domination. "We had our chance," she said finally. "We could have welcomed them as equals from the beginning. We could have adapted our system to make room for cooperation. Instead, we chose to maintain our power," Theron said quietly. "And in doing so, we lost it entirely." The great crystal chamber of the Galactic Council had never felt so empty or so quiet. Outside the transparent walls, the stars continued their eternal dance, indifferent to the rise and fall of civilizations. In the distance, barely visible through the cosmic dust, ships moved between the stars carrying the blue and white flag of the Terran Federation. They moved with purpose and confidence, guided by principles the ancient council had forgotten long ago. The humans had kept their word. They bore no ill will toward those who had dismissed them, but they also remembered, who had offered friendship and who had demanded submission. The galaxy was changing and there was no going back. The great crystal chamber stayed quiet for what felt like hours after the humans left. The alien council members sat in their seats like statues, staring at the closed doors. None of them moved. None of them spoke. They could not believe what had just happened. In all the millions of years the Galactic Council had existed, no species had ever simply walked away from negotiations. Young species begged, they pleaded, they cried. Sometimes they got angry and shouted, but they never just left. Vextai was the first to break the silence. He made a sound that was part laugh and part growl, but it did not sound confident like usual. "Good," he said, but his voice shook a little. "Let them go. They will come crawling back within a month, begging us to save them." "Stupid primitives," Corks agreed, but his tree-like branches were not moving the way they normally did. "They think they can survive in the dangerous galaxy without our help." Morden's compound eyes clicked nervously as they turned to look at the other council members. "No species has ever just walked away before." "Because no species has ever been so foolish," Theron said. His metal voice rang through the chamber, but it sounded uncertain instead of strong. At the center of the chamber, High Counselor Zelnara floated in silence. Her energy form flickered in strange patterns that the other aliens had never seen before. She had lived for thousands of years and had witnessed many strange things. But this was different. Something about the humans bothered her deeply. The way they had stayed so calm during the negotiations was wrong. Most young species panicked when they realized they were alone in a dangerous galaxy. They became desperate. They accepted any offer, no matter how bad, just to have protection. But these humans had seemed ready. Like they had expected the council to refuse their terms. Like they had planned for this exact situation. "Send messages to our spy networks," Zelnara ordered suddenly. "I want to know everything about these humans. Everything." "Why bother?" Vextai asked, cleaning his sharp claws. "They are just another young species that will learn the hard way how things really work." "No," Zelnara said slowly. "Something is different about them. Did you see how calm they were when they left? Most species are terrified when they realize they must face the galaxy alone. These humans looked prepared. Prepared for what?" Quilara gurgled from inside her water bubble. "That is exactly what I want to find out." Over the next few hours, reports began flowing into the council chamber from spies and informants throughout the galaxy. What they learned made the aliens more and more uncomfortable. The first report came from scouts watching Earth's solar system. They had expected to see a few small, primitive ships moving slowly between planets. Instead, they found something very different. "How many ships did you count?" Zelnara asked the gray-skinned messenger who brought the news. We are not certain, High Counselor," the messenger said nervously. "Every time we thought we had seen them all, our sensors detected more ships. They seem to have far more vessels than we originally believed." "How many more?" Vextai demanded. "We stopped counting at 200, the messenger replied. "But there were definitely more." The chamber fell silent. 200 ships was not the small fleet of a primitive species. That was the size of a real space navy. The second report came from the Council's best scientists. They had been studying the small device that Eugene Park had used to take notes during the meeting. The results were disturbing. "We cannot understand how it works," the chief scientist reported to the Council. "The computing power appears to be beyond anything we have ever seen. It uses principles that our best minds cannot figure out." "That is impossible," Vextai snarled, his yellow eyes glowing brighter. "They are primitives who just learned to travel between stars." "The evidence suggests otherwise," the scientist replied carefully. "This device is more advanced than our most sophisticated computers." "Then they must have stolen the technology from someone else," Theron declared. "From whom?" the scientist asked. "We have checked with every known species in the galaxy. None of them recognize this technology either." The third report came from merchants who worked the trade routes between star systems. Several reported being approached by humans who wanted to buy large amounts of raw materials. The humans had paid with metals that turned out to be incredibly pure and valuable. "Where did these metals come from?" Mordoon's many voices asked together. "Unknown," the merchant representative replied. "But they seem to have unlimited amounts. The quality is better than anything we have seen before." More reports kept arriving, each one more concerning than the last. Human ships had been spotted conducting surveys near star systems throughout the local area. These were not the clumsy explorations of a new species. The humans moved with purpose and used sensors far more advanced than anything the Council possessed. "What are they surveying?" Zelnara asked. Planet suitable for colonization, came the answer. How many systems? The messenger looked uncomfortable. All of them, High Counselor. They appear to be surveying every unclaimed system in this entire sector of the galaxy. Zelnara's energy form began pulsing faster. The other council members shifted nervously in their seats. How many ships would such a task require? She asked. Hundreds, perhaps thousands. The aliens looked at each other with growing alarm. When their scouts had first detected human faster-than-light signatures several months ago, they had reported seeing only a handful of small vessels. Where had hundreds more come from? There is more disturbing news, the messenger continued. We have detected human colonies. Colonies. Quillara's water bubble began to shake. Where? 7 systems so far, all in territory we considered empty space. How is that possible? Theron's metal voice rang with disbelief. Colony ships take decades to reach new systems and years to establish settlements. Not human colony ships, apparently, the messenger said quietly. Our long-range observers report that these colonies were fully operational within weeks of the first human ships arriving. Weeks? Morden's compound eyes clicked rapidly. That is impossible. It takes years to build even a small outpost. The humans appear to use methods we do not understand, the messenger replied. Zelnara was now pulsing so fast that her light was starting to hurt the other aliens' eyes. Show me where these colonies are located. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, displaying a map of the local galaxy. 7 new dots appeared, all marked in blue to represent human territory. They formed a rough circle around Earth's solar system. They are building a defensive perimeter, Zelnara whispered. Defensive against what? Vextai asked, though he was beginning to understand. Against us. The most disturbing report came last. It arrived from the Council's border worlds, the planets that marked the edges of their territory. Local governors sent urgent messages saying that strange ships had been seen just outside Council space. Human ships? Zelnara asked. We believe so. They matched the design patterns we observed at Nexus Prime. What are they doing? Nothing aggressive. They do not cross into our territory or threaten our worlds. They just watch. Watch what? Everything. Our ship movements. Our defensive positions. Our trade routes. They appear to be studying us. Vextai jumped up from his seat so fast that it fell over backward. This is ridiculous. They are just one small species. We could destroy them with a single battle fleet. Could we? Zelnara asked quietly. What do you mean? How many ships do they really have? Where are their main bases? What kind of weapons do they carry? How fast can they move between star systems? The questions came rapidly from the ancient energy being. We know almost nothing about their true capabilities. We know they are primitives, Vexti insisted, but his voice was not as strong as before. Do we? Morden's many voices sounded uncertain. They achieved faster-than-light travel in 90 years. No species in galactic history has ever done that. They built colonies in weeks instead of years. Corks added, his branches rustling with worry. They have technology our best scientists cannot understand. Theron said, and they walked away from us like they did not care what we thought. Quillara finished in a small voice. The chamber fell silent again as the truth began to sink in. The humans had not come to the council as desperate primitives begging for help and protection. They had come as equals offering partnership and cooperation. When that partnership was refused with laughter and insults, they had simply left to pursue their own plans. Plans that were apparently much more advanced and far-reaching than anyone had realized. Send an urgent message to the human ship, Zelnara ordered suddenly. What should the message say? Asked the messenger. Zelnara thought for a long moment, her energy form flickering with what might have been fear. Tell them that the Galactic Council would like to discuss new terms for cooperation. And if they refuse to answer, the ancient being who had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations dimmed noticeably, then we may have just made the biggest mistake in the history of the galaxy. After the second hour passed, the great crystal chamber buzzed with quiet conversation. The alien council members spoke in low voices, confident that the humans would return ready to accept reality. Some even made bets about how quickly the primitives would agree to the original terms. They will crawl back, Vextai said, cleaning his sharp claws. They always do. The small one was taking many notes, Morden observed with her compound eyes. She understands how generous our offer really is. Fear makes young species see clearly, Zelnara agreed, her energy form pulsing with satisfaction. By now they realize they have no choice. The chamber doors opened with a deep sound that echoed through the crystal walls. Taeho Kim walked in, but something had changed. Gone was the polite diplomat from before. His shoulders were straighter, his jaw was set, and his eyes held a new hardness. He moved like a man who had made an important decision. Yujin Park followed him, but now she walked differently too. Her military training showed more clearly. Her hand rested near a device on her belt, and her sharp eyes swept the chamber like she was memorizing every detail. The aliens noticed the change immediately. Quilara's water bubble trembled slightly. Corks's branches stopped rustling. Even Vextai's confident smile faded a little. "Welcome back," Zelnara said, but her voice was not as sure as before. "We trust you have reached the correct decision?" Taeho walked to the center of the chamber but did not sit down this time. He stood tall and looked each council member in the eye, one by one. The silence stretched until it became uncomfortable. "We have reached a decision," Taeho said finally. His voice was calm but carried a weight it had not held before. "Excellent," Vextai said, but he sounded less certain than usual. "You accept our terms?" "No," Taeho said simply. The word hung in the air like a physical thing. Several council members blinked in confusion. "No?" Morden's many voices asked together. "What do you mean, no?" "I mean humanity rejects your proposal," Taeho replied clearly. "We will not accept your terms." Theron's metal body made a grinding sound. "Then make a counter-offer. Negotiate. Ask for better terms." "We already did that," Yujin said from behind Taeho. "You laughed at us, because your demands were impossible." Corks's branches shook with anger. "Be reasonable, ask for something we can actually give you." Taeho shook his head slowly. "We did not come here to beg for charity. We came hoping to find partners, equals who would work with us to build something better." "You are not equals," Vextai roared, rising from his seat. "You are primitives, newcomers. You have no right to demand anything." "You are correct," Taeho said, and for a moment the aliens looked pleased. Then he continued, "We have no right to demand anything from you, just as you have no right to demand anything from us." The council members looked at each other in confusion. This was not how these meetings were supposed to go. "You need us," Zelnara said, her energy form flickering with annoyance. "Without our protection, you will be destroyed. Without our guidance, you will make terrible mistakes. Without our trade networks, you will starve." "Maybe," Taeho agreed, "but that is our choice to make." "Your choice?" Quilara gurgled from her water bubble. "You think you have a choice?" "Everyone has choices," Yujin said quietly. "That is what makes us who we are." Morden's compound eyes clicked as they focused on the human woman. "What are you saying?" Taeho took a deep breath. "We are saying that humanity chooses to chart its own course among the stars." "Without us?" Corks asked, sounding shocked. "If necessary, yes." The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens talked over each other in a dozen different languages. Some laughed, some shouted, some made sounds that had no human equivalent. "Impossible," Vextai hissed. "No species survives alone." "You will be destroyed within months," Theron clanged. "Space. Pirates will enslave your worlds." Quilara bubbled frantically. "Your people will die." Morden's voices buzzed together. Through all the noise, Taeho and Yujin stood perfectly still, like rocks in a storm. Finally, Zelnara raised herself high, above the others, and released a pulse of energy that silenced the chamber. "Humans," she said, and her voice was no longer kind. "You are making a terrible mistake. The galaxy is vast and dangerous. Young species who refuse our guidance do not survive. This is not a threat. This is fact. We understand, Tejo said. But we would rather face danger as free beings than live safely as slaves. Slaves? Vextai's voice rose to a shriek. We offer you protection. We offer you guidance. We offer you a place in the galactic order. At the cost of our freedom, Yujin said. At the cost of our dignity. At the cost of our future. Your future? Mordun laughed with her many voices. You have no future without us. Tejo smiled, but it was not a pleasant smile. We will see. He turned toward the chamber doors, then stopped and looked back at the council. We came here hoping for friendship, he said. We hoped to find civilizations that had grown wise with age, species, that understood the value of cooperation over domination. We are wise. Zelnara's energy form flared brightly. We have ruled the galaxy for millions of years. No, Tejo said quietly. You have controlled it. There is a difference. Yujin stepped forward. We will remember who offered us partnership and who demanded submission. When other species ask us about the Galactic Council, we will tell them exactly what we found here. What did you find? Vextai demanded. Old empires that fear change, Yujin replied. Ancient powers that prefer control to cooperation. Civilizations that have grown so comfortable with their dominance that they cannot imagine anyone choosing to walk away. She paused and looked around the chamber one more time. But perhaps most importantly, she continued, we found the answer to a question that has puzzled us for some time. What question? Zelnara asked, though she sounded like she did not really want to know. We wondered why humanity was able to reach faster than light travel so quickly when other species took thousands of years, Yujin said. Now we understand. Understand what? Morden's voices demanded. Yujin's smile was sharp as a blade. We understand that we were not trying to please anyone else. We were not waiting for permission. We were not following someone else's rules. The chamber fell silent. You might want to ask yourselves, Yujin continued, how many other species could have reached the stars centuries earlier if they had not been waiting for your approval? She turned to follow Tejo toward the exit. Wait, Zelnara called out. You cannot simply leave. No one has ever just walked away from the council. Tejo paused at the doorway without turning around. No, he said quietly. I imagine they have not. This is madness, Vextai roared. Come back. We can negotiate. We can find middle ground. The time for negotiation was before you laughed at our proposal, Tejo replied. The time for middle ground was before you called us insects. We will remember your kindness, Yujin added, her voice carrying clearly across the chamber. And we will remember your arrogance. The massive chamber doors began to close behind them. Humanity extends an open invitation, Tejo called back, as the gap narrowed, to any species interested in mutual cooperation and respect. We bear no ill will toward any of you, but we will not be subjugated. The doors sealed with a final resonating boom that seemed to shake the very crystal walls. For the first time in the recorded history of the Galactic Council, a species had simply walked away. The silence that followed was the loudest sound any of them had ever heard. 1 hour later, Tejo Kim walked back into the great crystal chamber. Yujin Park followed close behind him. Both humans looked calm, like they had just finished a nice meal instead of discussing the future of their entire species. The alien council members watched them return with interest. Most of them looked pleased, thinking the humans had spent the hour realizing how lucky they were to get any offer at all. Ah, the humans return, Vextai said, his lizard mouth showing sharp teeth in what might have been a smile. Have you come to accept our generous terms? Tejo sat down in the small chair again. Yujin remained standing behind him, her hands clasped behind her back like a soldier at attention. We have discussed your offer very carefully, Tejo said in his calm voice. We thank the council for taking time to meet with us. Good. Good. Zelnara's energy form pulsed with satisfaction. We knew you would see reason. Young species always do once they understand how things work. However, Tejo continued. We would like to present humanity's counterproposal. The chamber fell, silent. Several aliens looked confused. Counterproposal? New species did not make counterproposals. They accepted what they were given and said thank you. Morden's compound eyes clicked as they focused on the human. Counterproposal? Her many voices asked together. What do you mean? Tejo reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared in the air above them. This hologram was different from the one the aliens had shown. It was more detailed, with sharper colors and clearer images. Humanity respectfully requests the following terms for joining the galactic community, Tejo said. The hologram changed to show Earth's solar system, but now it was marked in blue instead of the red the aliens had used. First, we request full sovereignty over our home system and any worlds we choose to colonize. We will not accept outside control over human territory. A ripple of surprise went through the council. Quilara's water bubble actually shook a little. Second, Tejo continued as the hologram showed the council chamber, we request equal representation on the Galactic Council, one human representative, with full voting rights. Now the aliens were not just surprised, they were shocked. Orcs' tree-like branches rustled with what sounded like angry wind. Third, we propose mutual defense agreements with any species that wishes to participate. If someone attacks our friends, we help them. If someone attacks us, they help us. Vextai's yellow eyes were getting brighter. His tail began to twitch, which was not a good sign. Fourth, we want technology exchange programs based on fair trade. We share our knowledge, you share yours. Everyone benefits equally. Theron's metal body made a sound like grinding gears. This is madness, he said. And finally, Tejo said as the hologram showed space lanes connecting different star systems, we request the right to establish our own trade routes. Humans will trade freely with anyone who wants to trade with us. The hologram disappeared. Tejo folded his hands in his lap and waited. For a moment, the chamber was completely quiet. Then Vextai began to laugh. It was a horrible sound, like rocks falling down a mountain. Soon, other council members joined in. Morden's many voices made a buzzing sound that might have been laughter. Orcs' branches shook so hard that leaves fell from them. Even Quilara was making bubbling noises in her water. Sovereignty, Vextai managed to say between his terrible laughs. They want sovereignty. Equal representation, Morden buzzed. After 90 years in space, they want equal representation. Fair trade, Orcs wheezed, as if they have anything we could possibly want. The laughter went on for several minutes. Through it all, Tejo and Yujin stood perfectly still, their faces showing nothing. Finally, Zelnara raised one energy tendril, and the laughter stopped. Humans, she said, and her voice was kind, but firm, like a parent talking to a confused child. I think you do not understand how the galaxy works. Please, Vextai said, wiping tears from his yellow eyes. Enlighten us. What makes you think you deserve these things? Tejo looked around the circle of alien faces. We have achieved faster than light travel in less than 100 years. Most species take thousands of years to reach this point. Luck, Theron said with a dismissive wave of his metal hand. Or you stole the technology from someone else. We built our own ships using our own designs. Yujin spoke for the second time. No one helped us. No one guided us. We did it ourselves. Impossible, Morden's voices said together. No species develops FTL without guidance. It has never happened. It just did, Yujin replied simply. Zelnara's energy form flickered with annoyance. Even if this is true, it changes nothing. Every species must earn their place. My people ruled 10 star systems before we were allowed to speak in this chamber. The Vextai conquered 50 worlds and served the Council for 3,000 years, before earning equal status, Vextai added proudly. The Morden worked as slaves in the deepest mines for 5,000 years, Morden said. We paid our dues in blood and sweat. This is the way, Cork said solemnly. This is how it has always been. Tejo nodded like he understood. How many species have you offered this path to? Many, Zelnara said. Dozens. And how many have achieved full status? The aliens looked at each other. Well, Zelnara said slowly, the important thing is that they all have the chance. How many? Teho asked again. Silence. I see, Teho said quietly. Yujin tapped something on her device. The movement was small, but several council members noticed it. What are you recording now? Vextai demanded. Everything, Yujin said. My people like to keep good records. Morden's eyes narrowed. Your people? How many humans are there? Enough, Yujin replied. Enough for what? Theron asked. But Yujin did not answer. Zelnara's energy form pulsed with growing irritation. Humans, you must understand. You are newcomers. You are weak. You have one small world and a few primitive ships. We offer you protection, guidance, and a place in the galactic order. Why do you refuse this gift? Because, Teho said, standing up slowly, we did not come here to beg for scraps. We came here hoping for partnership. Partnership? Vextai laughed again. With primitives who have been in space for less than a century? Partnership with equals, Teho corrected. You are not equals. Corks's branches rustled angrily. You are insects. You are nothing. We are human, Yujin said quietly. That seems to be enough. Zelnara floated higher in the chamber. You need time to think more clearly. You are confused by your small success. Take another hour. Consider our generous offer again. Think about what happens to species who refuse the Council's protection. Is that a threat? Teho asked. It is reality, Zelnara replied. The galaxy is dangerous. Without us, you will not survive. Teho looked around the chamber one more time. His calm eyes met the angry, dismissive stares of the alien council members. Then he smiled for the first time since arriving. It was not a happy smile. We will consider your words very carefully, he said. As the two humans walked toward the exit again, the council members began talking excitedly among themselves. Arrogant primitives, Vextai hissed. They will learn. Morden buzzed confidently. 1 hour to think about their future, Zelnara said. Then they will accept reality. But as Teho and Yujin disappeared through the chamber doors, none of the aliens noticed the small smile that crossed Yujin's face. They had no idea what was coming. The great chamber of the Galactic Council was huge. Really huge. The walls went up so high that they seemed to touch the stars themselves. Made of clear crystal that sparkled like diamonds, the room floated in space around a planet called Nexus Prime. Through the see-through walls, anyone could watch the stars and planets move slowly in the dark. Today was special. Today the Council would meet the newest species to travel between stars. Humans. Taiho Kim walked into the chamber with slow, steady steps. He wore a simple dark suit that looked very plain next to all the strange aliens around him. He was 52 years old, with gray hair at his temples and calm eyes that missed nothing. Behind him walked Yujin Park, a woman in her 30s who wore a military uniform. Her sharp eyes looked at everything, taking notes on a small device. The Alien Council members sat in a big circle around the center of the room. Each one looked very different from the others. Councillor Vextai was the first to speak. He looked like a giant lizard that stood on 2 legs. His skin was green and covered in scales that caught the light. When he opened his mouth, sharp teeth showed. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. So these are the humans, Vextai said, looking down at Teho. They look even weaker than the report said. Next to him sat Councillor Morden. She looked like a giant bug with 6 arms and huge eyes that could see in all directions at once. When she talked, it sounded like many voices speaking together, because her whole species shared one mind. Small, fragile, short-lived, Morden said with her many voices. How did such weak creatures even reach the stars? At the head of the circle floated High Counselor Zelnara. She was not solid like the others. Instead, she was made of pure energy that glowed blue and white. She was very old, maybe thousands of years old. Her voice came from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. "Welcome, humans," Zelnara said. Her voice was kind, but there was something cold underneath. "We are happy to meet you. Please sit." 2 chairs appeared in the center of the circle. They were small and plain, like the kind used for children. Taeho and Yujin sat down without saying anything. Around the circle sat 10 other aliens. There was Orcs, who looked like a walking tree with eyes. There was Theron, whose body seemed to be made of living metal. There was Quilara, who looked like a jellyfish floating in a bubble of water. All of them stared at the 2 humans like they were looking at bugs. "We have called this meeting," Zelnara began, "to welcome humanity into our galactic family. For millions of years we have guided young species as they take their first steps among the stars." Vexatai leaned forward, his yellow eyes glowing. "Every species must learn their place. Every species must pay their dues. This is how it has always been." Morden's compound eyes clicked as they moved. "The strong lead, the weak follow. This is the natural order." Zelnara's energy form pulsed brighter. "Now we will tell you how humans can join our great community." A hologram appeared in the air above them. It showed a map of the galaxy with different colored areas. Most of the galaxy was marked with the symbols of different alien species. A tiny section near the edge was marked in red. "Here," Zelnara pointed to 3 small dots in empty space, "are the worlds we offer to humanity. They are not much to look at now, but with hard work, you can make them into homes." Taiho looked at the hologram. The 3 worlds were far from any trade routes. They had no water, no plants, nothing useful at all. "In return," Vextai said, with what might have been a smile, "humans will give us full rights to mine in your home system." "Earth, you call it?" "Yes, Earth has many useful metals." "Also," Morden added, "all human trade must go through our ports. We will take 90% of all profits. This will help pay for your protection." "Protection from what?" Yujin asked. This was the first time either human had spoken. The aliens looked surprised that she had asked a question. "From dangers you cannot imagine," Cork said in a voice like wind through leaves. "Space pirates, war fleets, diseases that can kill whole worlds. Without us, humans would die in weeks. We have protected the galaxy for so long that most species have forgotten what chaos looks like," Theron said. His metal voice rang like a bell. "Be grateful we offer protection at all." Zelnara's form pulsed again. "This is how every species begins." The Vextai started with 1 world and worked for 3,000 years to earn a second. The Morden served as miners for 5,000 years before they could trade freely. "Some species," Vextai hissed, "never earn more than what we first give them. It depends on how well they serve." Taeho nodded slowly. He did not look angry or surprised. He looked like he was thinking hard about something. "We understand," he said in a calm voice. "May we have some time to discuss your generous offer?" The word generous hung in the air. Some of the aliens looked at each other. Was the human making fun of them? But Taeho's face showed nothing. "Of course," Zelnara said. "Take all the time you need. 1 hour should be enough." Yujin wrote something on her device. For just a moment, her fingers moved very fast like she was sending a message to someone far away. "We thank the Council for their patience," Taeho said, standing up. "We will return soon with our answer." As the 2 humans walked toward the exit, the aliens began, talking among themselves. "They seem to understand their place," Vextai said, sounding pleased. "The female one was recording everything," Morden noted. "Good. Let them study our offer. They will see how generous we are." "I wonder what their home world is really like," Quilara gurgled from her water bubble. "The reports say it is very rich in rare metals. Soon those metals will be ours," Theron said. "As they should be." Zelnara said nothing, but her energy form flickered in a way that might have been worry. Something about the human male's calm face bothered her. Most new species begged or cried or got angry when they heard the Council's first offer. But this, Tejo had just listened and nodded like he had expected it all along. The chamber fell quiet as they waited for the humans to return. Outside the crystal walls, the stars continued their slow dance across the black sky, knowing nothing of the choices being made inside. None of the council members knew that this meeting would be remembered for thousands of years. None of them knew that they were about to make the biggest mistake in galactic history. They thought they were dealing with another weak young species that needed their guidance. They were very wrong.